As we've seen, part of the 1960s, it was illegal to educate a woman. It was the reforms of King Faisal in the early 1960s, before his death in 1975, that made possible female education in the first place. What we have on the left side of the screen is a quote from the Ministry of Education, in charge of education in the country, on the purpose of educating women. Quote, "The purpose of educating a girl is to bring her up in a proper Islamic way, so as to perform her duty in life, be an ideal and successful housewife, and a good mother, ready to do things which suit her nature, such as teaching and nursing." To the right, we have another piece of primary source evidence, a breakdown of the system of education that now exists in Saudi Arabia. It is a product of the 1950s reforms carried out when the oil money began to flow in great volumes. Like us, they have primary, intermediate, and secondary school, elementary, middle school, and high school. However, unlike us, girls and boys do not receive exactly the same education. Girls from age 6 are taught home economics, while boys are taught physical education. This is true as well, as we can see in intermediate school between the ages of 12 and 15. When they get to high school, secondary school, there are 3 options for Saudi children. One is a general high school, general secondary school. There are the religious schools, and then our technical schools. You'd be concerned, though, really with the general and religious schools here. Again, there is a difference in general secondary school. Boys take PE, physical education. Girls take home economics. Girls are not allowed in the religious, the technical secondary schools, because after all, those do not fall under the realm of wife and mother, or teacher or nurse. Religious studies as well is a part of the standard curriculum at the general education, general high schools in Saudi Arabia. There are now universities in the kingdom, which all date from the second half of the 20th century. There are 7 now. Those are exclusively for men. However, there are 11 women's colleges, although the enrollment numbers are quite low compared to the percentage of the population that women represent. Several of the universities are Islamic, what we would call a seminary almost, while several are not, including one that's from the 1960s at Dhahran that's dedicated to, not surprisingly, the oil and mining industry. We have now a congressional report, the CRS, the Congressional Reporting Service. We're going to be coming to them time and time again throughout this class. They're an excellent source of information, excellent source of evidence, because the Congressional Reporting Service is nonpartisan. It is a bureaucracy that serves the members of Congress, whatever party they may be in, and provides them information. It is a research service, just as the name suggests. And what we have here is a quote from a October 2003 report on Saudi schools. Quote, "Saudi school curricula foster anti-Western and anti-Semitic sentiments. Saudi official textbooks also reportedly denounce Shia Islam, as well as any popular Islamic practices that do not agree with Wahhabi beliefs." Following a review of school books in 2002, the Saudi foreign minister stated that, in light of a Saudi government survey, 5% of the material was considered, quote, horrible, 10% questionable, while 85% called for understanding with other religious faiths. Shortly thereafter, the government vowed to remove objectionable parts and to train teachers in promoting tolerance. But skeptics question the extent to which the government is willing or able to instill reforms in its schools. As we've seen as part of a play to stay in power during the tumultuous 1960s and 70s, the Saudi royal family allowed dissident Islamist radicals to enter the kingdom after they had been kicked out of places like Jordan, places like Iraq, places like Egypt. Many of these dissident Islamist radicals found themselves teaching the youth of Saudi Arabia. 15 of the 19 hijackers were, of course, Saudi citizens. What we're going to watch now is a clip that I found on YouTube last year that was posted by an American woman who had gone over to Saudi Arabia to teach in a school for girls. It's a little strange. She narrates it very, very quickly, but it's an interesting first-hand insight into what it's like on the ground in Saudi Arabia today. Without further ado, an American in Jeddah.
Hi, I'm a middle-aged white woman, American. I had a job in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia in 2005-2006. This movie is about the college where I worked and my time in Jeddah. Women can't drive in Saudi Arabia. Generally, they can't take public transportation either. The college and our compound provided us with buses. A number of women I knew had their own car or shared a car with their friends or their family. Another type of transportation was the taxi. Women who just arrived had to figure out who was going to be a good taxi driver. We were on the road a lot because it took between 30 and 45 minutes to get to and from work. Then we had to make special arrangements to be able to go grocery shopping, do social events, or get together with friends. Jeddah has people from all over the world, so you gotta learn how to communicate and how to get around the city so you can go out and meet people. In most places, I felt accepted and respected. Okay, this is the inside of my school. This is the 3rd floor of Darul Hikma College, the graphic design department. Here on the left are the cubicles for the adjunct teachers. We're almost to the elevators. The elevators were always busy. There are mirrors inside the elevators, and people used to check their makeup all the time. Now on the left is the supply store. The loudspeaker would announce when men would come to the building so we could cover up. Alright. Their education was based on memorization. Many of the young people also had tutors. They weren't exactly free thinkers. These people are part of the family who rule Saudi Arabia. They believe in education for women. I'm going to say it again. People learn a lot by memorization. Remember, Islam shapes the approach to education in Saudi Arabia. One of the highest achievements for an individual is to commit the Quran to memory. We're almost to the ground floor. So what impact does a lot of memorization have on a student's capacity to learn? Sometimes it means that students can follow concepts, but they don't have the best analytical skills to make their own concepts. There. That's the front door. They would want to go directly out the front door and live their lives. To get out, you'd go past the college security, down the stairs, out the door, then past the religious police, Mutawa, Muslim men making sure women were covered. Then you'd have to find your driver. Now this door is near the child care center. It was locked during the day because there was no security out there. When it was open, the smokers would hide in the garden to take a minute. Beyond the locked door is a locked gate. I guess you gotta rise up to look out. First you open the double pane inner window, then there are bars over all the windows, so you look out and see there's a construction zone kind of there, and then there's an elementary school just beyond that. Directly east of Darul Hikma College is King Abdulaziz University. The Saudi kings give generously toward education. I was also told King Abdulaziz University is the place where the internet is filtered in the kingdom. Time to back away from the window. Here's the studio where I was teaching design classes. We had 15 to 25 students per class and taught 5 courses per semester. We're driving on the south side of King Abdulaziz University now. Look, just ahead of us. There are 2 cars sharing the same lane. Notice the traffic. Everybody's stopping. Now watch. See that white truck go across 4 lanes of traffic? You gotta get home. That little Isuzu. Going home. We haven't gone more than a mile or 2 from my school. Hey, check out that Toyota shoving the Suzuki over. No turn signal. Interesting driving. Spontaneous cooperation. So I was told I would become either more American or absorb the culture around me and go native. Amazing people offered comfort, saying we're more the same than different. I started to believe I'm not alone in this until corporate and religious values manipulated my vision. If we're more the same than different, then naturally we're getting closer as we go.